All right, it is 7 o'clock. I will call the March 31st meeting of the Finance Committee to order. Present we have Bill, Paul, Bonnie, Trace, Zach, Gavin, Kevin. Did I say Paul? No, Paula, sorry. Kevin, and I think online we have Steve and Brandon. And that's it.
Yep.
Yes, all of us are here today. Yeah.
Yes.
Present and accounted for.
All right, who do we have first?
First, we have Amanda. I'm not sure everyone knows Amanda.
Nope.
So, Amanda is the director of the library that's following Lee's footsteps.
Good evening. Thank you so much for your time, and it's nice to meet you all. Thank you for giving me the chance to talk about the library budget, one of my favorite things to talk about, libraries. So we were very grateful for our fiscal year 25 budget. It allowed us to open 50 hours a week starting in September. As long as we make it past Memorial Day, which we will, at 50 hours a week, we will be eligible for our full state aid again. Hey, Peter. This is the first time since 2008 that we'll have full certification from the state. And it will also allow us another 12.5% of state aid. This year we received $46,280 in state aid. With that additional 12.5%, it would have been almost $53,000. State aid comes from state revenue and has been a priority at the state level, so we believe that they will continue to try to increase the state aid line items. So the budget I prepared for fiscal year 26, the total request is 3.8% more than last year. The salaries are increased by 2.8%. The Norton Library is a unique department within the town and also with other libraries because we have a municipal appropriation and money from a trust that was established when the new 34-year-old building was built. It's a Balfour trust and it comes with some limitations, including that it cannot pay for staff salaries. The trust was set up to continue in perpetuity, and the Board of Library Trustees and the Trust Committee work to make sure that we're not drawing down too much and that the trust stays in a healthy state so that it will last in perpetuity. The library budget that we asked for the town pays for payroll expenses and salaries, including Medicare and Social Security. The fee to be part of the Sales Library Network, that allows us to have access to more than 4 million items for our cardholders. It provides both our internal and patron-facing softwares and technology, cooperative purchasing opportunities, and the only IT support that we have. So those are things we could not afford without our network membership. It also includes materials for patrons to use and borrow. That is a state requirement that we spend 15% of the town appropriated budget on materials for direct patron use. And there's a line item for some computers and technology for staff. Our supplemental budget covers everything else from building repairs and maintenance, electricity, equipment and repairs, fuel, furniture, the library grounds and the library park grounds, our insurance, an annual audit or review, and trash disposal, staff dues and travel, and even our water bill all comes from the supplemental side of the budget. Bob Berg, the treasurer of our board, did send me a preliminary budget for the trust, and that is $141,950. That's conservative. That's without any massive failures for the HVAC system, or last year we had to replace our entire Wi-Fi system. That is what we hope to spend next year from the trust, but we may end up having to draw down more depending on what happens. So our state requirements are mainly that we be open 50 hours a week for a town of our population. We have a municipal appropriation requirement, which we are meeting and have been meeting for several years. And we have to do the materials expenditure, which is 15% of the municipal appropriation to the library. If we receive less than our budget request, we'll first make cuts to technology and materials because we can supplement those with donations and grants. We do get some donations from individuals. We have a very active Friends of the Library group. I believe they donated $15,000 last year just from fundraising. And we can use materials for patrons that we get through cable grants. We can use that towards our materials expenditure. So that would be kind of where we would look to cut if we had to cut.
Excellent. All right, anyone have questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Barb.
Mike, do we have a breakdown of the budget? That's what's in our packet, but you just did a lot of describing and we had nothing to refer to.
Yeah.
We didn't see an expense spreadsheet with everything.
It's hard for us to ask questions when we don't have the line in.
There we go.
Those are salaries.
Yeah, we have that.
We don't have that expenditure.
We don't have the expenditures broken down. We have the total. Thank you, so.
Are you talking about the supplemental budget or the municipal budget?
The municipal budget, so typically we have, what was up there was that, right? Typically we have that broken
Okay.
down and then totaled like this
Okay.
at the bottom, say, or the next page, which is what it looks like this is. So we just
Yeah.
don't have that to refer to ask questions.
You're saying the salaries are up 2.8%.
Yeah.
1% was expenses increase?
3.8 for the total budget.
For the budget.
This is extra, and this is the library.
The town is just responsible for salary.
Mostly salaries, the sales library network membership, some payroll expenses, and then the materials expenditure requirement from the state.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just.
Okay.
Other questions? Library budget?
When you were here on the leave, right, for a few years?
Yes, I've been here for 13 years. Worked under Lee very closely and really benefited from that. It was a great experience. If nobody has any questions, if I may just impose and talk about libraries for a minute. Last fiscal year, we had 62,868 visitors, not including visitors to the library park. We had 1,500 programs with 10,158 attendees. We added 963 new cardholders, and we are adding approximately 77 new cardholders every month. We're often the first stop when people move into town. We have programs for all ages, from infants to seniors. We try to meet the educational, civic, cultural, social, and economic needs of the town. We help job seekers, we help with learning opportunities. We do a lot, and when we did our strategic plan last year, what we heard from people was they want more. They're happy with library services, they like their library, they want more programs, more experiences, more materials. I know that you all have some very difficult decisions to make, and I appreciate your time so much tonight. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I ask just one question on your trust?
Yes.
How was that originally set up? Was it a private donor?
Yes, Balfour, LG and Mildred Balfour Trust, and so they built the building and they included I believe it was $1 million at the time, trust, which I believe, I don't have the exact number, but we are a little bit over $1 million still. Even with drawing down from the interest, they've been able to manage the trust to stay healthy in perpetuity, so.
Okay, thank you.
It did have quite a few restrictions that was put in place. That's why it's still able to give at least every year the interest.
Yes, and there's a separate trust committee of 3 members who oversee the trust itself, and then the trustees are responsible for the day-to-day operations and how the trust funds that.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
tonight.
so much.
Nice to meet you.
Next, we have the assessor's budget. And little bit. So in the assessors department, you have 3 full-time employees. So the budget request for salaries is just required salary increases by contract. Longevity pay, $3,050, and incentive pay, $4,090. And then in the expenses, the one large increase there was the $131,000 for contracted services, because at the request of the Finance Committee, instead of an article, what they have to do their cyclical program each year, and that now is important. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. The main change, as like Mike said, is the cyclical program, which is now a line item instead of an article, which is required by the state.
And it was always 100-something thousand for years?
Yeah, the last few years, it's been around that. Yep, I mean, obviously it increases a little bit, you know, but, yeah, so it's been about 110. You know, and this, like I said, it's state required, it's part of our certification. So if this isn't done, then we won't be certified by the state, which our tax rate won't get certified and all that.
Thank you.
Is this every 3 years?
So we're on a cyclical, so we're on a certification every 5 years now, but the cyclical is supposed to be done every year. We did kind of put a stop on it during COVID. They stopped doing the inspections. So now we're picking up again and getting back out there and doing everything.
So the 110 will be annual now instead of every 3 years?
Yeah, well, depending on what the contract is. So this is part of the 3-year contract. We're in the 2nd year now, and then next year will be the last year, and then we'll have to get a new contract. So we'll have to see what that's going to be at that point. Probably around the same, I would think, similar. A little bit of an increase.
Any other questions for Ms.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
does this cover the assessments?
What do you mean?
Do you assess the whole town every so many years?
So, no, so that's different. The assessments we do every single year. These are just the inspections that's required by the state. It's called a measure and list. We have a person going out just, so we have to verify that we have right information. We want to make sure that we have the right bedroom count, bathroom count, the conditions right, the quality of construction's right, and then they'll do some measurements on the house to make sure it's right.
So you do assessments, I thought every 5 years or something you
So
assess?
it's different. So every year we reassess. But
Everybody?
Everybody gets reassessed every year. Every 5 years we have to be certified by the state. Whether we have to go into a deeper dive into the assessments. The state will, you know, really look for a lot of more information from us. Make sure all of our cyclical inspections are being done. If they're not being done, then, you know, we have to get them done.
And is that 5 year, is there additional expenses on that 5th year?
Yes, usually a little bit more.
Or so just a small?
Yeah,
Okay.
so like for this part here, this is a 3-year contract, so we'll get, the next contract will be in another, 2 years. And then part of that contract will be for the 5-year inspections again. So we'll have to wait and see what that's gonna be at. But, yeah, this is pretty standard.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
How successful are you going door to door to get people to let you in?
Some people let us in, some don't. So, but it's required by the state, so as long as we get there and, you know, we try to do something, then that's considered an inspection.
Well, would it save any money? If you have a ratio of you get in one every 25 houses, wouldn't it just be easier to just say, inspect the outside and skip the knocking on the door and all that kind of stuff?
No, we can't. The state's requiring us still to come out there and do the inspections. It's all about that. We're so regulated in our office by the state. Everything we do is what they're telling us that we need to do. Hopefully we can do, part of our inspections can be aerial views that we do. So that's counted, but we have a certain percentage that we have to do every year. And for a certain percentage, we have to do for every 5 years to be certified. So we have to do those inspections every year to make sure that we're at that count at every 5 years.
So you have to meet a certain goal of
Yes.
actually getting into that.
Or actually just going to the house. You know, as long as we get there and try to get in, they're considering that an inspection. You know, and it's important to get in there, it is important to get in there to make sure that we have it right. You know, especially for the older houses where back in the day we didn't get into the houses on new construction. Now, working with the building commissioner, I'm getting in there so we're getting them right for the most part. But if there's any additions or anything like that, if we don't have it right, then, you know, we could be over-assessing people, which does happen. So we want to make sure everything's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair. Just a quick one, the mapping line item, is that what pays for the public GIS website we have?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Cool, I love that website.
Yeah, so now we just upgraded our Canvas system so that we can update the map geo. I think we're doing it weekly now for the ownership, where before it was only once a year.
Yeah.
So now, because we've upgraded, now we can start seeing it with all that.
Sweet.
So that's gonna help with that and the permits.
So, Denise, just curiosity, do they wear a uniform, or are they very obvious that they're there for the town for starters?
So it's a third-party company, it's our software company. I believe they have something on their car, it might say assessors or something like that, I'm not quite sure. But they should have a tag, they should have a badge. I have all their information, which I sent to the police station, so they're aware of who's out there, what they're driving, who the person is. We should be getting the same person again.
And follow up, when they knock, there's no response, are you guilty of trespass if you're strolling around measuring the house from the outside without having the homeowner's permission to be there?
So we can go we can measure the house if they're not home. You know, knock on the door, nobody's home, we'll measure the house. If there's a fence, we will not go through the fence. So if it's a fenced yard, they might just do the front, try to get a measurement on the front. Otherwise, they'll just leave. And I don't believe they leave contact information anymore. Before, they would leave a card saying that they were there, because then with the state, it was required for them to try to go back out to that same house. We don't have to do that anymore. The state's not requiring that, so that's why we're not leaving cards. As long as we noted that we've been to the house, that's fine for the state.
And I thought I heard some communities actually have the assessors do a unsealed transfer. You have access to them.
We do, so that's another way we do the inspections. So we, every time there's a seal, we'll send out a letter to do an inspection, and we get some done that way. So that helps us a lot. So the houses that we're looking at, every house is supposed to be looked at every 10 years. So we'll have a list of homes in neighborhoods that haven't been done in 10 years, and those are the ones that we're going to. So if you pulled a permit or bought your house or anything like that in the last 10 years, most likely we're not going out to your house. We've already done that part of it. And if there's a permit out there, and if I'm going out there, I'll mark that as an inspection so that we don't go back to that house again. I mean, sometimes, you know, they might fall through the cracks, but as long as we've been out there once in 10 years, we try not to bother anybody and go back out again.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
Also, while Denise is here, one of the articles, let's see what number it is. There's an article on a possible pilot.
Most likely.
Article 11, it's a pilot on 12 Hill Street. Excuse me when I say pilot, payment in lieu of taxes, and Denise can explain that.
Sure. So this is a solar pilot. This company has been in operation since 2017. I came in 2016 and found that they were out there. So at that point, I asked them to do a pilot, and they didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And unfortunately, the way the state does their solar, we're not required to actually bill them. You know, a lot of times they'll make a deal with the town, either a pilot or something else, so they're giving money to the town. This particular company didn't want to do that at that point, but now, years later, they're ready to do it because of new laws that are out there. So if they do the pilot, it's only going to be for the remaining years, which will be about 11 years, I believe, and we're hoping to get about $15,000 a year from that pilot.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So you're telling me the company was able to operate a business in town, tying up real estate, and not pay a penny to the town?
Unfortunately, yes, and then every year, like, you know, we try to go to the ATB, the Appellate Tax Board, but because of their rules, all the towns were losing those cases. So we never actually brought ours here because it would be too expensive. So it was better off that we would bill them every year and then we'd have to abate it, unfortunately. So then there's a new law that I was hoping that we could just start billing them, but there's too many questions. We might end up back in court, and again, it's very expensive. So if we can try to do this pilot for the next 11 years, at least we're gonna get some money out of them. That's part of the amount that we would've went with the pilot anyway, when they first started. So if we can get half that money back, that's what I'm hoping for. So we're still in negotiations, but we're very close.
Any questions on Article 11?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
is this the dump on Hill Street?
So there's two on Hill Street. One, I think it's under the town, and then the other one is a private, so they're across the street from each other.
This is the private.
This is the private one.
The one on the left, Zach, when you're going uphill.
Yeah, I don't know which way you'd go, yeah, on
That's
the
such a
left.
towny thing to say.
We'll go both ways.
Your
In
other
the
left.
snow.
Yeah.
Your other left.
Well, yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
why just this property? Like, why not the solar on Plain or the other one? Is it?
They were already in pilots.
They're already in
All our other
pilots.
property, all our other solar farms are in a pilot. This one, for some reason, just wouldn't do it at the time. Because they knew that they didn't have to, basically.
Any other questions? Do we want to vote on this?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion that we support Article 11 presented by the Board of Assessors.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Bill?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Brandon?
Yes.
And I too am a yes. It's 11. We're all here.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Denise, is there a list anywhere on the website of properties in town that do not pay taxes, whether it's churches, schools, or whatever it
If
may
they're
be?
exempt, you mean?
Yeah,
We don't have them listed anywhere. We could do that if you want.
I'm just curious of what that looks like. I mean, like this one, nobody seemed to know about it for a decade. I don't know how many more of these,
This is the only property that's like this.
Yeah.
This is the only one. All the other ones are exempt or they're paying taxes. You know, this one, we know it's out there. Try to get, like I said, we bill them every year, trying to get some money out of them, but they knew they didn't have to. It's a unique case. It just would have been too expensive for the town to try to pursue it.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Denise?
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Steve.
Next is the treasurer's budget. And I was going over this with Wendy today, did notice some errors here on the salaries. If you look at the second page, you'll see there's also a part-time position that wasn't included on this, so we'll rework this and get it back to you, but the office salaries, there's 4 full-time people in the department, the treasurer collector, the assistant treasurer collector, and 2 other staff people in the office, and based on the salaries that were provided by union contracts, that would be $283,073.25. And their other proposal is 18 hours a week for a part-time person, which would be $23,400.
Could you repeat that number, Mike?
Yep,
283?
283,073.25,
And then
well rounded. And then 23,400 for the part-time. And then on their expenses, they're pretty much in line with the previous year. Their expenses have only increased $740. And,
Mike, that part-time position is a new position?
yes, that's the one we're looking to have a reserve fund transfer for, that I have to come back to you again. And it really is necessary. I know Wendy's on, and Wendy can talk more about it. You know, we've talked about it before, and it really is an important position. I know the town accountant is also very supportive, just saying there's just too much work without that. And if you have questions, I know the treasurer collector is on.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Wendy, did you want to say anything about your budget?
As far as the budget, I think that Mike did exactly how we had talked. The other thing that we talked about was the fact that we have several people that have been here for a while, and they're taking their time before they lose it. So, and I think when I came to you before with the other request for the reserve transfer, I think I was like a little bit nervous, and so I didn't exactly say the whole thing that I should have said. So we've always had that didn't always, but it wasn't funded the last budget year. And because Jen was always the backup, so when she was the backup, because we were in such close confinement, but then when she moved upstairs because her position required a confidential space, it left us a body short. She did take the work with her up there, but there's nobody to watch the window. There's a particular part of the day where the full-time clerk has to do the window and the phone and all the downloads from the online payments. And that's what we were basically looking, was to fill that body in the office. It was funded prior. So we had somebody that was on vacation last week. It was just the 3 of us in the office. Jen didn't have a payroll week, so she was able to cover the office phones and the window while the clerk did the downloads. This week I have one that's out, one day that she was out sick. It's taking away from me being in the office doing all the tax titles and my assistant doing all the reconciliations for us to go and answer the window and the phone. So basically it's the body that we need to do that. I pick up the phone, but a lot of the times I'm involved in doing stuff that like taking tax title, and I can't keep getting interrupted. And when my assistant's doing reconciliation, she can't keep getting interrupted to answer the phone as well while all the other downloads. So February was an exceptional month because we had real estate and motor vehicle bills, so we noticed it drastically. And so the way I look at it is if the town's okay with paying me my rate to sit at the counter, so be it. But if we could do it as minimum, I think the 18 hours would be sufficient. I think it would do all the downloads and whatnot, and we would be able to be a lot more productive. But other than that, I didn't raise anything else, other than like the postage, because the postage obviously went up. But I tried very hard to stay within line and kind of level fund a lot of things.
All right, thanks. Does anyone have any questions for Wendy?
The next is the tax title foreclosure, and that's been lowered this year. Wendy, you want to talk on that?
For the tax title foreclosure, when I came in, the 22, 23, and 24 was not done. I was able, because we had a little extra help in the office with Paula for a short while, I was able to do the taking for the 22 and 23. It wasn't an actual taking, but it was putting a lien on the property and doing the proper notification. I'm in the process of doing the 24s. We're up to date with subsequent, and the 24s with the grace of God. By the end of April, should be all liened, and the only thing we'll have out is the remaining for the 25. The schedule goes that all subsequents are supposed to be done by September 1st, and they were not for the 24 done on time. To avoid any penalties, I raced to get that done. So that's all up to date right now as we stand. So that's why I was able to stay at the same amount roughly, because I don't need to put any in there.
All right, anyone have any questions on that?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I assume those fees are fully recovered one way or another?
Yeah, honestly, like when we put it in, we have the 105 recording, and then when it's turned over to the treasurer, so to say, there's another 105 added for the releasing of the lien. If you looked at a tax title bill, and if you'd like, I can put one in your mailbox for you to look at it. It'll have a breakdown on the bills as fees and as part of the taking. So it'll have the advertisement fees, it'll have the warrant preparation fees, it'll have all the fees that are added on there. So they're all itemized on the bill. So when you put something into taking, it's committed interest plus base tax plus instrumental cost to put it into tax title. So that's the regular thing. In tax title, you can charge interest on interest as long as it's committed interest.
So how long does one not have to pay before they get foreclosed on? Is there a standard?
So as far as taking goes, if somebody's already in tax title, the subsequents have to be turned over. Subsequents means that anybody's in tax title. If they have an outstanding current bill, that has to be turned over to the treasurer no later than September 1st of the following year. So by September 1st of this year, I'll have to turn over all the 2005 subsequents. As far as putting properties in tax title, as far as taking the lien, it's noted that because we pay 6 months in advance because we're in a fiscal year, the taxes aren't considered delinquent until after June 30th. So what happens is I send a demand out on June 14th, it's due by June 30th, and then the process starts 5 months after that, 3 months after that, they get a friendly letter. 5 months after that, they get a little stronger letter, and then it goes on, and then by March 1st, we do the taking of the following year. So in March of next year, I'll do the taking for 25. And then that gets a lien on it, and then once you get several properties, that's when you meet with the town administrator, the town attorney, and you decide who you want to put into land court.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Wendy.
And now
You're
we'll,
very welcome.
don't go yet.
Oh.
Maturing debt and interest. So for
Like,
this,
let's speak about that, or did you want me to speak about that?
I'll just start, Wendy, and then you can, the maturing principal on the long-term debt is $3,494,485. And repayment of temporary loans, $520,770. And then below that is the interest on the long-term debt, $2,266,447.34. And the interest on notes, $12,623.25.
Any questions, or Wendy, did you want to add anything to that?
No, Mike has a paper that he was gonna hand out that shows the debts. As of 2026, I do not have any debt that will be maturing on the long-term debt. But there is, as far as anticipation, there's a question of whether or not we're gonna go out to formally, do a band or a bond anticipated note, for the fire department roof. I think that's $304,900, but that's not on my sheet here. That's something that once we go out to bid and see what kind of interest rates we get, we'll have to look at that in November. Or whenever the fall meeting is, I apologize.
Any questions on that? All right, thanks again, Wendy.
She's not done
She's
yet.
not done yet. Sorry, I was trying to get you out of here.
We're so grateful. Don't say thank you.
Just the last section for Wendy is employee benefits. And so employee benefits, the first section, contributory, that's what we pay to Bristol County Retirement. And then the medical insurance, and then Medicare for retirees.
Anyone have questions on the benefits?
Madam Chair. So Mike, how are your numbers different than the department requests?
My numbers, what I looked at was after we had our last meeting with the health group, and we went up 8.2, so it's a little bit less than the 9% that we had planned on. And then on the contributory, the $4,510,572, that's the number we pay if we pay in one payment, which we usually do. So it's a discounted payment.
Thank you.
Other questions on that?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
So, Mike, this is townwide, right? This includes every department, including the schools, correct?
Correct.
And how long do you think the town can sustain those type of medical increases without changing plans or reducing benefits or doing something? Because that's a big number year over year over year, and it's frankly choking the town.
It is a big number. I will say it's a much better number than most of the communities, because our health group has such good rates that, you know, we went up 1%, 2% over several years, and then even this year going up 8.2, when other places are going up 14, 15, even higher. It's done well. We will have to look at trying to encourage more people to go on to the high deductible plan. That would save us some money. It's actually a good idea for people that are willing to go on to it, maybe younger people that can, because you have, with the high deductible plan, you also have a health savings account, and the town puts money into that, matches up to a certain amount what the individual puts in, and that money, you can build it up, if you hopefully stay healthy, and later on, you can use that money for things other than health, but you pay a penalty for that. And when you retire, you can use it for anything. It would be counted as income, so you'd have to pay income tax on it, but it's a good way to put some money aside, and your health insurance costs are a lot less than people on the regular plans. We did switch, I'm trying to think of how many years ago it was now, that we switched to a deductible plan. We saved millions of dollars by doing that.
So my question is, what, you did that how many years ago? The last time we looked at it was when? 10 years ago?
Do you remember? It was like 9 years ago, would it have been?
You also switched the retirees to a different plan 2 years ago, so it is an active thing you guys
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah, by switching the retirees to a higher plan, we saved millions on our OPEB liability.
Mike, do you know what percentage are on the high deductible plan currently?
What percentage of it?
Of the people are on that high deductible?
It's very small. We really have to do a better outreach on that, and also trying to get people to use CanRx, which is a subscription service we have for our pharmaceuticals. And if people that have things that they receive regularly go on to CanRx, they don't have to pay a deductible for that because it's so much cheaper for the health group. So those are things we have to push. And as I may have said before, one of the things we're looking at is limits on Wegovy and Ozempic, because the percentage of people that have it and the amount of the cost as a percentage of our total group is crazy. And it's really driving up the cost of the health insurance. So we're looking at ways to limit that.
Any other questions on employee benefits? All right.
Okay. Thanks, Wendy. Next is unemployment. Right now, I would just recommend going with 80,000 on our unemployment. In '23, we used 41,890, '24, 43,618. And this year we upped it because we were anticipating a lot of layoffs. So in the end, it was $341,226. We've spent $73,682 to date. So I think 80,000 would be a good target, and hopefully we don't have to add money to that in October.
Mike, how much more is that number going to go up this year?
Wendy was looking into that today. She was going to get back to me. Someone was getting an extension, she thought, so.
So I put an email out, excuse me, Madam Chair, I put an email out to the unemployment person, and that person was being extended because there was something going on with her and the business in the department or something, and they were going to get back to me. But the original plan is that they don't collect more than 26 weeks, and she was already almost hitting the 26th week. So they're going to get back to me. The unemployment depends, but if we lay anybody off, it's like a person and a half, because you got to pay the unemployment insurance. So it's like we're losing a person and a half in order to make a difference.
So most everybody else is through their 26 weeks at this point, and the layoffs
Yeah.
that happened
Yeah.
before. All right, any other questions? questions on unemployment?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we still have a ton of unknowns in regards to like, layoffs of any, the schools. I mean, the schools alone don't have a contract with any of their teachers or paraprofessionals or janitors. I don't know where that's gonna come in, and neither does anybody else. Is this something to revisit in the fall, depending on what happens this summer, Mike?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier.
Oh, okay, I must have
I
missed it,
said,
sorry.
we don't have to look at it in October, but maybe.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And it looks like we're even just this year with all of the layoffs we had, we weren't anywhere near what we appropriated, so.
No, it looks like they all got a job right away, it appears that way.
It's good, yeah, good news for that, I guess.
I was reading an article the other day talking on the shortage of workers in America. And if everyone that was unemployment took a job, there'd still be jobs available. There just isn't enough people.
Have more kids.
All right, any other questions on unemployment? All right.
So next is miscellaneous, so fuel expense, 150,000. And then the next section is the insurances. I did talk with the insurance agent, and the one variable they're waiting on is the workers' comp. The state Workers' Comp Bureau has requested a 7% increase on the rates. Last year, they approved an 8% decrease in the rate. So he's a 3% COLA on the salaries in town. And if he's looking at 217,000 for the workers' comp this year. The rest of the items, he said, look like they're in line. But we don't know, obviously, final yet.
Any questions on that budget?
Madam Chair. Mike, how come we've only spent 45.9 on fuel year to date or up to December?
That was up through December. I don't know. I'm wondering if the new electric trucks cut down on the amount of fuel we're using. So I'll get you an updated number for the next meeting so you can see that.
Yeah, that'd be good, because it looks like they're, basically requesting similar to what was appropriated last year, but if it's not necessary.
And this will be an interesting year to see, because we were at 151 and then it went down to 132.
Right.
And I'll try and see if Jared, I know he can give me a breakdown. How much of that is that the price went down, or how much is it because we're using less fuel?
Right.
I'll get a report for you.
Thanks.
I was anticipating a big delivery in the next couple of weeks to fill the tanks.
Well, they've already got it. It's
Oh, the price of fuel's gone down
It's
too.
only through December.
Yeah, we'd be interested to see what's driving the price or using less, so I'll try and get that for you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Under my police fire accident insurance, we appropriated 72,000, you spent nothing. I'm not sure, that's a typo or? Same thing in the Medicare reimbursement expenses.
Expenditures, you're saying through December?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, I'll have to look and see whether we should have paid the bill by now.
I would hope so. Also, your fleet insurance, that seems awfully cheap for the amount of vehicles. I assume that's everybody, fire department, police department, town hall. That seems, how many vehicles are in town? 50, 100?
I don't know the number, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it seems low.
I had the figure per vehicle, but I forget what it is now. It's like, he gave me that figure one time. It's very low compared to what we pay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mike, just out of curiosity, it's skewed a little bit from the actual expenses, but do we do anything at town level or department level to track like recordables and lost times town-wide? Is there any kind of quality, like safety programs, or like do the department directors manage that? Is there anything in place like that?
Yeah, so the highway department does that, and the insurance company sends people out to the highway department, water and sewer, schools. They do audits and make recommendations on changes that should be made. And also the fire department works with us on different things.
Any other questions? What's next, Mike? You're going to talk about the pilot.
Want to go on to what's next on your agenda?
Capital.
Capital, okay. So the capital committee met last week, and I'll go over their recommendations. So the plan that they're recommending under data processing, $35,000 for replacement of end-of-life equipment. The police department, 2 of 3 line cruisers replacements, and $21,000 for electronic weapons replacement. The fire department, turnout gear, $15,000. Excuse me, $30,000, and that's split 15 out of capital and 15 out of ambulance. Pump tower replacement, this would be payment 2 of 5, $649,800 out of ambulance. Station rehab repairs, $300,000 out of ambulance. Animal control, replace the van, $80,000. Norton Public Schools, fire device mitigation at the Norton Middle School, migration, at the Norton Middle School. This is completion of loops 7 through 9, $48,288. Indoor carpet at the LGN, the main office and the library, $25,000. Tech displays, purchase 3-year rotation or lease to own 5 years, $35,000. Highway, year 5 of 5 on the Peterbilt dump truck, that's $28,150 out of capital. And then roof replacement at the highway department, borrowed $640,000. Under sewer, $26,000. You'll see the purchase of a Ford Explorer, it's split $26,000 from sewer and $26,000 from water. And then the Cobb Street Sewer Station Phase 3, $250,000, and that's out of sewer retained earnings. And then the water meter and transmitter replacement program, $175,000 out of water. So the total plan would be $427,438 out of capital, $640,000 borrowed, $201,000 out of water surplus, $276,000 out of sewer surplus, and $964,800 out of ambulance reserve.
Questions on?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
The 640,000 borrowing, Mike, does that require any kind of a different thing at town meeting right now?
So when we do the vote, it'll require 2/3 because it's bond.
And that doesn't affect the levy limit or anything like that, that looks like a...
It's all within the levy.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Paul, that's the second payment. We already made one, I believe, last year. That's for the new tower and fire truck.
No, I was talking to 640 for the roof. For the
Oh,
highway.
the-
That's a new-
I thought you said.
No,
I'm
that's a
sorry.
new borrowing for the
Yeah.
roof for the highway. I
Yes,
just didn't.
yes.
Other questions? Mike, is it 593, is that what we have in capital right now?
So, yeah, capital, the beginning balance was 593.15.
All right, other questions on the capital?
Yeah, I have a question. Mike, normally a lot of the capital gets put to October, is this all gonna be done at the annual?
Yeah, this
This is the annual list?
Yeah, the total requests for capital were $2,740,023. We couldn't fund all of that, so.
Anyone else with questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
make a motion to approve the capital budget as presented.
I'll second that.
Do we want to read off the numbers from where they're coming from?
He did as presented.
I think Zach said 640,000 borrowed, 420.
Mike said, go ahead, yes.
438 from capital, 201,000 from water retained earnings, 276,000 from sewer retained earnings, and 964,800 from ambulance.
Excellent. For a total of $2,509,238.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All right, Bill?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so it's 11-0.
Madam Chair, if we could do one more article.
Sure.
This article is Article 13 on revolving funds. And what we're looking to amend on this is under the recycling revolving fund. Right now, it's $20,000 a year. Looking to increase this to $40,000. Right now, we're at a point where Highway has already hit the $20,000 limit on the main culprit is mattresses. And they've let people know right now they can't take any more mattresses because they have hit their $20,000 limit on expenditures. They have the money in the account because people pay when they bring in a mattress, but because of the cap at $20,000, they can't expend any more money. So we're looking to increase this to $40,000. And right now they have $19,000 that they've collected that they could pay out to get rid of some of the mattresses, but they just can't because of the cap on it. I hate the cap, but if we could increase it to $40,000, he believes that would alleviate this issue in the future.
All right, any questions on that? Did we vote, we didn't vote on any of these yet? Any of these items from the revolving? Increasing?
The others are all the same.
Okay.
So the only one that changes is the
Oh, okay.
recycling revolving fund.
Okay, everything else is the same. Any questions on that?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Zach?
explain to me the Camp E3 revolving fund.
That was set up when we purchased the camp. I think Jennifer was here at the time, and that was set up so that if she rented out the camp and had to do repairs on anything, the money would go into a fund and they could spend up to $60,000 a year on repairs.
But we haven't collected $6 yet.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Bill?
Mike, does it cost us to have like a revolving fund for? No. Okay. It costs us to maintain?
No, it's just on paper, there's no money in.
Make it $6 million.
And the other one, if you're wondering, the stormwater bylaw revolving fund, that was established so that if the planning board was approving a project, and a lot of times now they require on a subdivision that they put in detention areas, and we end up having to maintain those. So the idea was that when the planning board approves projects, they'd get a payment from the developer that would go into a fund that would be used by us to,
Linkage.
right, legal ground.
Madam,
Can I ask one question? I thought Council on Aging was trying to increase theirs too.
They did in the fall.
Oh, okay, so that's already the increase in amount. Gotcha, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
make a motion that we recommend Article 13 as presented.
Do we need to specify the amounts?
They're all listed.
You want me to specify them, Bill? Okay. Spending limit for the 237 Mansfield Avenue, $60,000. Forestry revolving fund, $30,000. Home composting bin, $2,000. The recycling revolving fund, $40,000. Hazmat, $10,000. Council on Aging, $20,000. Stormwater bylaw revolving, $100,000. And Camp E3, $60,000.
Second.
All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we vote, can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
Is the recycling, is it a profit center or is it break even? Like it costs us 10, do we charge a resident 12, or is it just a pure pass through?
Pretty much breaks even.
Okay.
All right, motion is second. Any other questions or discussion? All right, Bill?
Yes?
Paul?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes.
And I too am a yes. It's 11-0.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
We go back to capital for a second. Mike, you had a page that's missed, and it was for borrowing of $250,000 for the Cottage Street ground storage area mixer. And that wasn't listed, I don't think, under the other list, but it looks like it's recommended by you guys.
Yeah, that was done at the special we had in March.
So it's not being recommended now.
There were two articles, that was the other one. And capital had to approve it because it's borrowing, so when they, bond council, they want to know if capital approves the borrowing, so that's why they voted on that.
It was just some housekeeping from this fall that got missed.
Expensive.
Madam Chair, I don't have anything else. Next week, Southeastern and Bristol Egg will be present.
All right, and tomorrow night, 7:15?
Here.
Here, got it. 7:15, not 6:17.
Subject to change without notice.
It has been posted at 7:15.
It has to be 7:15.
We'll be there.
I know that, I know Paul and Steve won't be there. If anybody else isn't gonna be there, let me know. Yeah,
Madam Chair,
yes.
do we have to establish a date for the public hearing that so many people attend? People are waiting to know when it
People are
is.
wondering, Sandy.
We should probably rent out Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
All two outsiders are on the call.
Mike, when does that hearing need to be? Remind us.
Yeah. Before.
I'm trying to remember, I didn't bring the schedule.
I can look at last year.
Yeah, May 19th is a Monday. That's all I know.
Last year. What did we do?
What did we get for?
We do it on the 22nd last year?
Yeah.
April 22nd last year, maybe?
That's really tight.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mike, what's left for budgets other than the Southeastern and Bristol Aggie that we haven't gone over? Are we close to done?
I think we are. I think that's it.
So we're gonna see your recommendations in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah,
Hopefully next Monday.
we did it on April 29th last year, the hearing.
But it's a holiday. 21st.
Yeah, the 21st is Patriots Day.
We'll do,
So the Monday after, the
28th.
Come one, come all.
Mike, can we ever get the charter school to make us feel here? Because we spend money for them.
Which one, kids probably go to different charter schools.
Foxborough one, isn't that the main charter school for this town?
You could have them see if they'd come, it'd be like a sales pitch for them, I'm sure.
It's more like a hostage situation.
How much do these give them?
That'd be 7 o'clock.
Good chunk, isn't it?
To the Foxborough? I'd have to see how it's broken up, but we just get the cherry sheet number that shows the total.
All right, any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
does anybody have any suggestions on how we get public participation in our meeting, in our open forum? Short of streaming it on Facebook?
Well, you can restream it on Facebook.
That's where the main debate is.
Open
You mean for the thing on the 28th?
Yes. The public hearing. Nobody shows up at.
Yeah.
So we start the meeting and then 15 minutes later we end it, right? It's like-
Yeah, we open it and we close it.
I think I've seen one or two people since I've been on this committee.
Yeah. We're here every week.
It's a great question.
Yeah. Use that little kitchen over there, serve hors d'oeuvres and,
I would serve
Can we use the push notification to give people a heads up?
yeah, that may be an idea. Yeah, no one alerts.
And Peter Chong can inform us on the date.
In the Peter Wiggins Facebook channel,
Peter Wiggins Facebook channel, that's right.
live and worldwide.
Live and worldwide, around Norton, all around the world.
Thanks, Peter.
Any other questions or suggestions for?
Will it go on the thing out there that I probably nobody reads? The thing that the media
sign?
has,
The thing out there.
The sign, sorry, the programmable sign. I guess that's the start.
It's gone.
Or it's going there then.
Oh, it's gone?
That
gone.
sign's gone.
I literally noticed it the other day. It's really gone.
The one out front here,
Yeah,
it's been taken down.
There's
Courtesy
a
of Norton Media
there's a new
Center.
sign though.
There'll be a new one put up, but
Okay.
There's a
Can
new
make one in
building.
Sharpie and put it out right.
Yeah, right.
Should have decommissioned until the new one was up.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
Alright.
Can we get the schools to put it on theirs?
yeah.
I thought last year was gonna be a busy year because of everything going on and nothing
I
happened.
know,
You
yeah.
know?
Nobody was thinking they were gonna change that.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments or
I
ideas?
have one. I know we're all trying to get out of here, so I won't get to, but you piqued my interest. Do we have a social media like person in town? Town clerk posts on Facebook, right?
Peter Wiggins.
Yeah, we got like people, but we got a small town presence. I assume that's limited to Facebook.
yeah, Charlene,
She's trying to become a TikTok
and,
TikToker or something. Get the young people in here. I don't know. I mean, with the school budget being a big thing, you'd think, you know. But I guess if we already do have somebody and she's aware of that, she should probably thought of it. So that would be my only suggestion: is things other than Facebook.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion for Gavin to make us a TikTok video.
It's not on my phone. I just.
It's also on the cable TV scroll.
There you go.
Put that as well, but
Yeah, it's here.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second. All right, Bill?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Kevin? Steve? Brandon?
Yes.
And I, Tony, yes. All right, thanks everyone.